I'm Mike Fuller, and I'm the founder of the Underdog Law Office in Portland, Oregon. I founded Underdog Law Office with one very simple philosophy, and it was that we would take interesting and important cases to represent people who otherwise couldn't afford an attorney. I like the tenant cases because I grew up poor and we grew up in apartments with a single mom, and there were tons of health and safety issues, but we didn't dare complain. We were on a fixed income, and we knew that if you complained, the landlord's probably just going to come up with a reason to kick you out. And so I remember once, some rowdy tenants even peeing on my aunt during a birthday party from their upstairs balcony, and we weren't going to do a damn thing about it. So I really enjoy taking these cases now and actually doing something about it, taking them to trial, hopefully getting a good verdict. I can relate to the clients, but a lot of them have it worse than I ever did. So what I relate to more is the anger and the rage of being pushed around and bullied by a landlord. So in 2017, we had the idea to start a pro bono clinic, and really it was just going to be for one-offs. I talked to Troy Pickard, and I talked to Legal Aid and people in the community, and I said, hey, if there's a particular case that really deserves an attorney for eviction defense, why don't you send it to me, and I might consider taking it pro bono. And I'll front all the expenses, and I'll treat it just like every other, our class actions and our wrongful death cases, any other case. And so slowly but surely they started trickling in, and we got a pretty fair result on the very first one we did. And so we just slowly expanded the pro bono clinic. At the time, it wasn't a clinic because it wasn't really doing that much work. It was doing one-offs. And then Emily Templeton came to the firm as an associate, and she had really strong advocacy skills, and she was giving press conferences. Now the clinic was representing entire communities of tenants. And with her leadership, we really expanded the clinic to a full-time, 5-day-a-week intake clinic where we're doing, over 100 intakes a week. When Legal Aid refers us stuff, they're usually pretty egregious cases. They get, even more intake than we do, obviously. And so when something comes from Legal Aid, we know to kind of take a closer look at it. We get probably a few hundred inquiries a week for landlord-tenant, and probably a dozen of those or more come from community allies like the Commons or Legal Aid, other associations. We treat these cases just like any other case. We spare no expense to try to increase the odds of winning at trial. So whether it's, a large class action or, a relatively low dollar value tenant rights case, we treat them all the same. Small is relative to the client. It might be small compared to litigation over $1 billion bridge project, but to my clients, it's everything. It's their home. So I don't really view the cases as being small just based on the dollar value. We start out interviewing the client, and then we'll usually hire a private investigator. We will hire experts at the outset to review the conditions of the unit. And then we do depositions, move for punitive damages sometimes, and then prepare the case for trial. OCJ has been crucial in our ability to represent clients through our pro bono clinic. The legal director, Robert Lay, comes to all of our jury trials, gives us real-time tips during trial, helps us work on our opening, our closing, and then they've also been able to finance some of the cases that we couldn't afford to finance. We don't win them all. And when we lose, those expenses come, right out of our coffers. And so OCJ has also provided us financial support, being able to provide experts, being able to provide attorney assistance on occasion. So they've really been instrumental in our ability to serve the public through this clinic. We only choose to represent people who do actually want to tell their story, because by telling their story, they can create an impact in the community. They send a message to landlords that you need to follow the rules. They send a message to other tenants that you actually can get justice on occasion in courts. And there's a lot of other resources out there for clients who just want a quick settlement or just want a letter written. But the purpose of our clinic is to provide, advocacy and representation at the trial level for clients who actually want to get up there and explain to a local jury what happened to them.